It's not live as the moderator.
Moderators.
Everybody's live and not undead.
Okay. All right, you guys ready? Yeah. All right, welcome out. This is a LibertyCon tradition. I think we've had this every year for a long time now.
Well, a couple years at least.
Yeah, I was on one year with a bunch of you guys, and first year I was up here. And this is, I believe it's going to be this year's our zombie panel is a little bit different this year because it's Messiest.
Yeah, we did this last year too. Yes.
Oh, it was Messiest last year.
Messiest way to kill a zombie.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start down here at the end, and everybody just kind of introduce yourself for the audience.
All right, I'm Scott Baker. I write mostly short fiction, a lot of zombie stuff, and I was on this panel last year. Buckle up, it's going to be fun.
My name is John Ringo. I hate the zombie genre.
You can't say that anymore.
No, I
Unless
still
you get
do hate
paid
the
for
zombie
it.
genre, but for some god-awful reason I decided to write 4 zombie books in a year. So, anyway, here I am as a goddamn zombie writer. Fuck me.
Okay, so but you've done a fine job, John.
Oh, wow.
So, my name's Philip Walrath, and I'm just going to be one of in this whole thing, I'm just one of the poor bastard grunts who would be on the front line actually having to fight the zombies when the zombie apocalypse happens.
If you die first, we'll split your gear.
Not if it's a smart gun.
Loot the body.
My name is Jason Cordova. I write horror and steampunk, science fiction, other crap. Literally crap. I'm working on a zombie paranormal romance.
I'm Mike Williamson. I write military fiction, science fiction. I write a lot of stuff about weapons. I think concepts of zombies are awesome when you want to justify killing bunches of people, but don't want to scare people with the idea that you're actually going to kill people.
I'm Ted Roberts, neuroscientist. I work in the fields of neurology and neurosurgery and pharmacology, which basically means that if we end up with a zombie apocalypse, my colleagues and I probably created it.
And the hardest thing about that is pretending that we're not excited. All right, I'm Larry Correa. I'll be moderating, and I've written some books about monsters. Okay. Now, we're going to go ahead and, since this is Messiest, I want to hear from the panel, in your own work, and if it's not in your own work, in somebody else's work, what is your favorite zombie, disgusting, messy, messed up zombie kill that you've had, that you've written, or that you're, if it's somebody else's, let's hear it. What's your favorite? Let's go ahead and start down here at the end.
Wow, let's see. That's a tough one. Most of the time in my stuff, I don't actually kill the zombies. I like to come in after the zombie apocalypse has died down and culture has started to figure out what to do with these zombies and do horrible things. You know, the culture does. The characters don't because they're good people. But the culture does horrible, just embarrassing things with them. For instance, you know, Zombie the Bachelor. I mean, that's inhuman.
Isn't that what it is now?
Yeah, well, but probably my best zombie kills involve, I don't know, I guess my best one's from ZFL, where a guy's arm comes off. ZFL is a zombie football league, and it's just one guy from the, coming down from the ceiling trying to convince these zombies to take the ball and go score a touchdown. The ball's covered with blood. That's why they go after it. And he gets bit in the process despite wearing like a dog control suit. And but one of the guy's arms comes off, and he uses the zombie's arm to try to scoop up the football. and ends up defending himself with, beating the guy with his own arm.
So it's a lot like Southern Conference. Okay, no.
Yeah,
So,
basically.
Alabama, Auburn here. Okay, John.
I would like to beg the moderator and the panel's indulgence in this. I'd like to wait for last. Sure, if anybody can top me.
Okay. Well, you know the one I'm going to play. The card I'll play. And if you top me, then I'll just say, yeah, you top me. Because it's from the 4th book in the series. Ooh. So we get a spoiler alert too?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah, John's last. Hey, Larry Correa is in universe for Under Graveyard Side. Howard Taylor's hanging out. Oh, yeah. Yes. Howard Taylor's hanging out at my house during the apocalypse. Yep. So Utah, we're going to be fine. So,
well, I guess this kind of goes back to something I saw while I was in Iraq, and that was a donkey that ran out in front of a mine flail.
Yes!
The donkey didn't even twitch afterwards, so if we're going to kill zombies in a messy way, mine flails on the front of Abrams firing canister rounds is going to do a pretty good job.
If you're talking about Romero's slow-moving zombies, because there was a big thread about this on Facebook, because I posted this scene already, but there was a big thread about it, and it was like, mine flails, and I'm like, yeah, if you're talking about Romero zombies and you're clearing cities, mine flails are definitely the way to go.
It's like they call it Operation Meat Tender. That's fantastic.
Oh, it was great. You should have seen this donkey.
It is going to do sufficient cranial damage.
Well, and the guy driving the mine flail too is probably like, oh, I got you.
It's a 70,000-pound armored vehicle. He probably didn't even notice.
Yeah, but did he
probably got out and saw the blood and thought, oh shit.
Whoops.
Get a hose, quick! Jason?
Actually, mine is the one, my short story I just finished for Tobias Fox short story. Basically, he's immortal, more or less. And he's getting chewed apart by zombies, but he can't really die, so he's sitting there really pissed off, swearing at them. They're chewing the shit out of him. And then he finally just loses it. And the reason he's immortal is he has a god trapped in his body, a fallen god. And the god gets pissed because he doesn't like his mortal flesh being chewed on. So he goes berserk. Next thing you know, he gets up, and there's just little pieces of flesh wriggling on the ground trying to reform like the Terminator. And just my poor hero's like, what happened?
That has got to be the worst pickup line I've ever heard. I've got a god in my body.
It makes for some very interesting conversations with horrors when he's riding around the Old West.
Wait, that worked in the 80s.
One we discussed last year. You toss a zombie down a bobsled track, and at the bottom, instead of deceleration strips, you have a giant cheese grater. Larry had a good start. You used was it a snowblower?
It was a 3,000 horsepower snowblower.
That's a good start. You use the snowblower to throw the chunks of zombies into a log chipper you're towing behind, and then feed it through a flame front so you're spraying ash, because you don't want contaminated chemical fuel liquids out there. You're spraying the ash off to the side.
Well, mine was field expedient.
Yeah.
So it was improvised.
Well, it's going to be improvised. It'll take a little while.
And Mike's makes fertilizer.
Yeah, that actually sounds like something that they did in Top Gear, come to think of it.
Actually, I would want the Top Gear guys during the zombie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can imagine Clarkson. Oh, look at his handle.
And he's another cameo. He's another cameo, but he doesn't survive, unfortunately.
Oh, man. Clarkson, no! So you don't want Hammond to turn and bite you.
Yeah, he ends up in a compartment with a whole bunch of MMA fighters. That unfortunately turned. So that's not actually anywhere in the book, but that's what actually happened to him.
Number 10 gravy.
So I actually I did way too much chemistry in the 70s.
Chemistry.
So
best
I like chemicals that recombine vigorously with human flesh. So, stealing a cue from Mike, which actually we conversed about it at length at some point, the pressurized chlorine trifluoride darts.
Whoa, nice!
He was an assassination method in Rogue.
See, the nice thing about chlorine trifluoride is the fact that it's what's called hypergolic with flesh. It bursts into flame on its own. Quite
It's
vigorously.
It's hypergolic with asbestos.
Look at it sideways.
Yes.
Yes, so I do like the idea of the chlorine trifluoride, because then what you have is you've got a zombie that makes its own fertilizer and spreads itself to the maximum extent possible.
Very environmental. And on that note, don't cross speaker. And if you owe him money, don't eat any brownies he gives you. Yeah, Mike mentioned mine. In Monster Hunter Alpha, we had the snowblower scene. It's pretty infamous. What it was a technically zombies, because they were zombie werewolves. And we had killed about half of a 3,000 person town, and they were animated, and it was yeah, well, it was field expedient. They had to come up with something quick, and they had a snow go. For anybody who's ever lived up north, where they have, like, you guys don't have this problem in Chattanooga. I don't think they have one here. But it's basically a 3,000 horsepower tractor with a giant snowblower on the front. It's got an auger that if you disable the safety devices, you can feed Volkswagens into it, and it'll just spray them out the back.
They used to clearing runways.
Yeah, they're impressive.
Yeah.
And you can move, I don't know how many thousands of tons of snow like that. So what we did, because they needed this really fast, and all the monsters were congregated around the high school where the survivors were, and it was a great action sequence because, you know, this is all completely unprotected because they're doing this on the fly. So I got one guy driving, this old man driving it, and he's just running friction sticks. And then I got, you know, main characters up there just shooting out the windows and punching things, trying to get up and stabbing the shit out of stuff. It was a great sequence because this is a very gross series, and by the end of it, I got the guy who's been like this professional monster hunter for years, and we've got like this pool of red, and then we've got like 100 feet of pink, and he gets out and he's got safety glasses, and he's so bloody, he gets the safety glasses off, and he goes to wipe them, and there's no place to wipe them, so he just throws them in the snow, and he's like, I've been doing this for a long time. This is fucked up.
The only problem with that, Larry, is that you're talking about mass quantities, and you really have to understand that there are times when quality has quantity all of its own.
Oh yeah, this was not one where we could really think it out. It had to be fast, but I know John has book 4 spoiler, big monster kill for us.
The first thing to say is that these are not Romero zombies. It's a biological zombie apocalypse. You can think of 28 Days Later or I Am Legend. Two of the main characters are teenage girls. The series is Swiss Family Zombie Hunters, is what it should be called. It's called Black Tide Rising. The first book, Under Graveyard Skies, coming out in September. The two sisters are Sophia, meaning wisdom, 15, and Faith, 13, at the beginning of the book. Faith, at the age of 13, ends up becoming a Marine lieutenant. And when she is approaching 14, they take a place called Blount Island, which is a Marine pre-position base in Jacksonville, Florida, where they find tanks, which she squeals about. But it's explained to her that trying to get an M1 Abrams that has been sitting for 10 months back up and going is a nearly impossible feat. Okay, it's just going to take too many man hours, so they concentrate on MRAPs and Amtrex, which is what they really need. Well, behind her back, the scene where, you know, she basically says, you know, you're right, you know, we don't need to work on these tanks, it's just way too much. The scene at the end of it, the gunnery sergeant Tommy J. Sands, turns to the staff sergeant, who's her sidekick, and says, Staff Sergeant, your job in the next 4 days is to have one M1A1 Abrams up and running. If the lieutenant wants a fucking tank, she gets a fucking tank. Because she's like the she's just a zombie killing psychotic bitch, which the Marines just follow around like puppies. Okay?
We would.
Yeah, it's just they're head over heels for this girl, right? So it ends up being like
because she has been the morale raiser for all the subs. And at her 14th birthday, where she gets her tank, which is pink, with purple stripes on the side, and flames, and his name Trixie, which is her alter ego. A chief of boat gets up and explains that in the darkest days, she was the first person that ever made the crews laugh when they knew that their families were dead and they might never ever be able to land again because the crews weren't infected. She was the first person that gave them hope. And, you know, Lieutenant, if you want a fucking tank, you get a fucking tank. So she gets a fucking tank. And then they find canister. So they're clearing King's Bay. And they've rolled Trixie ashore. And what they're doing is they're picking up the special weapons and they're destroying all the heavy weapons. All the tomahawks and torpedoes and all that stuff. Well, while they're engaged in this, and a helicopter has actually been doing light clearance on the masses of infected, some dependent decides that it's the right time to break out. So she gets the call from the helicopter, the dependent's trying to break out. And the helicopter's giving the dependent cover, you know, it's an SUV, driving towards the base as fast as it can. There's kids in the car. And she's leading the Amtrak's out, she's got the word, and the helicopter's like, the gates are closed. And if you're gonna save these people, you've got to haul ass. Well, the first thing that the nuclear mechanics, when they started working on the Abrams, first thing they did was take off the regulator. Now, her tank crew is kind of interesting. They're Marines, but they're extremely rigid and only able to directly obey orders. It's complicated. No, these guys are really fucked up. They're really fucked up. So she tells them, you know, hit it. So then she sees that the gates are closed. So she's calling in and saying, you know, force ops, we've got to breach the gate, we've got to breach the gate. Well, stand by. You've got 10 seconds, okay? They don't get through. So at 65 miles an hour, they hit the gate, Kings Bay, which goes wide in every direction. 200 yards away, there's this SUV, it's stuck. And she's like, Condrey, the driver, if you hit that SUV, I'll have you up on charges. Yes, ma'am. So he misses the SUV, it's surrounded by like 1,000 zombies. And he hits this mass going 65 miles an hour in a 73-ton tank. But they're doing 65 miles an hour, just hauling ass. And she's still not real familiar with tank driving. So she gives one of the stupidest orders she's given in her short career. Turn around! Now, Condrey can only directly, he knows not to try to turn a tank going 65 miles an hour. But he can only directly obey orders, so he hangs the steering wheel all the way hard over, which doesn't lock a track on an Abrams, basically locks one of the tracks on the Abrams. And there is this long thing about what should have happened at this point, because the track should have popped off like tickling hooks. And it's this description of what should have happened with, you know, the gunship going back and rearming and them trying to put the tracks on with the zombies closing in, or, you know, blah, blah, blah. That's what should have happened in any sane universe. But then we get to the discussion of lubrication. Because the Gunhawk had been firing up the zombies on this road for the last 30 minutes. And it's covered in bodies. There was a long discussion on Facebook about physics to this. But what happened was, the tank starts to spin. And it spins for 400 yards, spraying blood and opal and zombie bodies in every direction.
I think John just won. The tidal wave of blood is. Okay.
Real quick.
So,
John,
real quick.
John Ringo and real quick.
The tank finally stops. And Forsox calls her back and says, "You have permission to breach the gate. Do minimal damage."
Okay, I'm gonna look out at the audience here. I saw we had a couple people drifting some hands up. Let's get, who's got some questions? We got some right there.
Yes, sir.
Hey, oh yeah, phrase them as a question, so.
Does anyone remember last year a certain lieutenant colonel named Shane Grease?
Yeah.
What was Shane's?
We remember him.
Yeah, especially he was a mullet and interrupting a lot. He is not here this time because.
So you brought spares?
So you're going to be drunk on his behalf?
I brought backup, which is the pissed off tree squirrel. He was actually a better zombie apocalypse prepared gentleman. Also,
I thought maybe you were telling us that Shane was now a zombie.
How could you choose me to deal with?
I have his zombie target. We were at the range today. He got shot in the head at least 44 times. So,
Speaker has brownies for you.
The question is, okay,
yes, the question.
I'm from Maryland. I represent Mullen.
I'm sorry.
Maryland inside of there, and we are firearm constrained. Let's say in that environment. So our current TTP is
lunch.
Yeah. Yeah. We're abandoning certain cities. They've already been designated ahead of time. But now we're looking at things such as welding blades to the front of our F-150s and so forth inside of there. I know we don't all have 70-ton main battle tanks and all that we can actually acquire readily within there. So would you really recommend in an environment, should we look for militarized equipment, or what's the cleverest civilianization of common articles available?
There you
to
go.
Really help us with the zombie.
Snowplow. First thing I would say is move to Utah and get guns. Or Tennessee, so it's humid.
You're in Maryland? Get on a fucking boat.
I got one. We got a 27-foot sailboat, but the only thing is, when we got to raid villages, forage for supplies.
Steal a larger one.
Here, I'll say this. If you're living in Maryland and you're going down, don't go south to raid villages.
Snowplow.
Yeah.
Just remember,
go north.
I'm going to Greg's first in Utah and then Shane's in Alaska.
Yeah,
with a sailboat.
He's doing 25 miles an hour to throw snow, so I figure 35 for zombies.
If you take a sailboat from Maryland to Alaska during the zombie apocalypse, you're the most interesting man in the world. So let's throw this out. Let's throw this out to the panel here.
If you can get a hold of one of them, any of the heavy emergency rescue vehicles, those things are awesome. Anything that's got a snowplow on the front.
Good luck in Chattanooga.
Huh? No, actually, they're in Ringgold. Ringgold is the place that has the massive snowplows.
They use them to clear tornado debris.
Goodness.
You guys have those here. Forget about those.
We saw them on TV.
Okay, rest of the panel. What are your improvised dock?
I would say, head to your nearest construction site. You're going to find all kinds of heavy
scrapers.
Yeah,
bulldozers.
Dump truck.
Bulldozer, dump truck, anything.
Dump truck with a snowplow.
I like the snowplow.
The difference between a military bulldozer and the bulldozer at a construction site is that they've armored the cab.
And painted it green.
Yeah,
and half the time, not even that. It's
Or
just painted
sand.
green.
Yeah.
Hey, then don't diss the green paint.
It makes
It's
it
car
very,
paint.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
And the operator is wearing a reflective belt.
Yes.
And a hard hat.
The PT belt will save your life in any given situation.
The 5th Cavalry did not have PT belts. That was a big one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a certain well-known author has stated that, of course, the hospitals are going to be raided and that people are going to get all the drugs out of the pharmacy. But what people tend to forget is that there are a few other things that hospitals have besides the emergency vessels. Is they have a lot of oxygen bottles and they have a lot of isoflurane and halothane bottles. And you can make some really nice fuel air explosives with some halothane bottles. Great big 100-gallon tanks at a time.
Yeah, you can make a really nice fuel air explosive with propane too, which is a lot easier.
Is that like on the back docks?
Back docks, yeah.
Wow.
If you live in the sticks in a house built of bricks, propane.
Here you go. If you live out in the country, if you live out in rural America, you have a lot of meth heads, right?
Right.
Find you a meth head, stake him in the middle of a cornfield. Get you a corn harvester. Let them go there and get the meth head. 2 problems solved.
See,
that's the redneck way of zombie.
See, George Romero, if you're ever watching Romero movies, you're just like, what the hell is wrong with you people? And second off, you can tell he never went to places like Liberty Con.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else from the panel? Some field expedient zombie items.
Jason. Real quick, harvesters will chew up one person, but they don't. They actually tend to jam after about 5 or 6.
You haven't seen that 32-foot wide wheels with the wheels that go like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. They do actually jam.
Have you ever seen when they hit it there?
What you having grown up on a farm, what would beat the harvester on that for not jamming is a hay rake. Hay rake, and there's there's a safety on there for too much back torque, so when you do hit a person or a cow, don't ask me how I know that. But if you disable that thing will.
We're back to that donkey, aren't we?
Oh yeah, I imagine it was like Undead, but
to be fair, that donkey didn't feel anything.
The cow did. But people are smaller than cows. To be fair,
With anybody who is pretty good at welding, and somebody who's good at a machine shop, you've got a machine shop, and I'm not talking about anything really complex. It is not hard at all to make a mine flail and put it on the front of a bulldozer at all. And not even a bulldozer, just a front end loader.
And it's similar to the mine flail.
One of the things to remember is that you're going to have a lot of problems with road clogging, not so much in the rural areas, but certainly anywhere around any sort of town or metropolis. So, you need something which has some off-road capability, has some crunch-through-wall capability, et cetera, and you're still going to have to kind of pick and choose your way, even if you have a 73-ton tank.
Which is where I was coming to the Brinks thing, the Brinks armored trucks. When you're in an urban community, you see those things everywhere. In a pinch, they're armored. You can't get in without.
They are absolutely they're road limited.
But I'm still I'm not going out to
rural Alabama. That's my question. You're in the middle of rural Alabama and you can't find a gun?
Similar to the mine flail, Robot Wars, somebody had this, it was basically a lawnmower, and instead of a cutting blade, it had a chunk of steel that was about 1 inch thick, spinning at 3,000 to 4,000 revs.
Yeah.
It was a solid bar. Something like that, front underneath your vehicle, sort of like a rotating cow catcher. And you're going to cut the zombies off at the knees first, and then at the hips, and then sort of halfway.
You can up armor a Roomba to do that. Don't ask me how I know that.
Anti-zombie Roombas.
Yeah, my Roomba has Picatinny rails. Okay, I'm gonna throw another one out. Throw another one out here to the. What was that?
I want to know how many amps I will pull on the truck there, Mike. I want to put that in.
I'd have to research that, but.
All right,
stick it on the meter.
You're gonna need a good engine.
Yeah. Let me throw one out to these guys and I'll come back.
Okay. Mechanically drive it.
All right, so we've got a bunch of writers here and other otherwise really smart people who know a lot of fictional stuff. If you have one fictional character, whether it's movies, books, TV, one fictional character at your side to survive the zombie apocalypse, who would it be?
Superman.
Thank you. And no copying. Once it's done, it's done. John's got Superman.
Power Girl.
He's got Power Girl. Who will live?
Might should have gone for Supergirl.
Oh yeah, man, you got screwed.
I'm gonna go with Mila Jovovich from any of her films because she can obviously kick zombie ass, so. And she's hot.
It's hard to argue with.
Ash.
Yeah, you got me there.
He stole Speaker. Now Speaker, you went off of the action. Now Speaker's like struggling to survive.
Actually, the thought that went through my head is Victor Doom, because after all, if you're encased in metal, then the zombies can't.
Wait, I'm going to say, wait, the mad scientist hooked up with the mad
scientist. Yeah.
You guys
what
are
possibly? And your point is,
you guys
have always seen Doom as the hero of that particular series.
Reed Richards sucks. I mean, come on, real science.
Now, it's actually a pretty tough choice for me because I don't really care who it is as long as I can kick some ass. But in a pinch, they need to be slower than me.
Dr. Xavier.
Professor
X, yes.
I think we have a win there.
You can't do anything against zombies.
Yeah, I'm not going to praise anybody.
But he's going to be slower.
All right, Cottontail.
It is hard to argue with a bionic super assassin.
And if I get bitten, she'll make it really quick.
Yeah. And awesome.
No, she won't.
Sorry,
wait, is that a promise?
Last year we were discussing the zombie Olympics.
All the zombie Olympics.
Yeah.
So the skeet, the zombie skeet was a great idea. So we talked about the luge track earlier.
Yeah.
So you start with pushing the zombies through a liquid nitrogen spray. So you fast freeze them. Then when you push them down the luge track, you put the ski jump at the end. All right, now.
And you can use a Zamboni to shove them down the luge track.
This is where you get the Top Gear guys involved.
It's a battle Zamboni.
What was the... it's the skeet with the howitzers, the skeet with the tanks, you know. So when the zombie comes down off the end, flies into the air. Yeah, so then what you do basically is you're scoring on the size of the chunk and how far it traveled.
I don't think the Top Gear has done best homemade zombie vehicles yet. We probably ought to suggest it to them.
They would probably take us.
Oh, they definitely would take it.
And film it at Liberty Cup.
Yeah. Have them come to Chattanooga.
I think they're scared to come back to the South.
Let's use John's car as the starting vehicle.
I'd donate a vehicle for this. It'd be totally See, actually, I take the stick because he does everything awesome. Whatever vehicle we steal, whatever vehicle you guys name, I want to steal. That's my guy. That's back. And he'd put on like some weird motivational thing in German, and we'd drive around the track. Be like, splendid! All right, we had a question right over here.
Oh, you mentioned vehicles earlier. Everyone forgets that how much money we spent on Homeland Security recently. Go down to your local DHS office, all the ammo you want, pick up an MRAP, go to town.
Nah.
They only got 16 MRAPs.
So sorry, no. We got 4 in Middletown right now.
The problem with an MRAP.
Well, one of them's the North Star for a variation.
The problem with the MRAPs is that they are like tanks. They require a lot of
maintenance.
fuel. And a lot of maintenance. Yeah, exactly. A lot of
maintenance. Then give me a good Huffy that's been armored.
Yeah, actually, the other problem with the MRAPs, it's not all MRAPs, but a lot of the MRAPs are technically off-road vehicles, but they're not good at it. The Cougar's not good at it. I can't remember. The best one that they found so far is the MATV, which is specifically designed. It's based on the 7-ton chassis.
I thought
what you're thinking of is the MRAP. They replaced the suspension on it because I was there when they were doing the upgrades.
Yeah.
They took the MRAP and they basically lift the whole armored shell off and put 7-ton suspension underneath it, and it kind of becomes a off-road vehicle.
The problem with the MRAPs now is that so many of them have that extended armor package on them that when they were off-road, they aren't anymore. Well, they're so top heavy.
Yeah, the thing about it is that is an extended armor package. It unfolds, and in the zombie apocalypse, one of the things in my particular one is that the Amtraks actually have gone back to where they work because they don't have a police car on them.
So you wouldn't recommend a Bradley?
Generally everything with tracks is just really high maintenance, especially the modern stuff. There was a recent thing that came up.
But the Bradley has firing ports.
Yeah, the reports.
I have asthma.
Here's the thing that came out today, which is to the extent that they're going to use armor in the future, they're basically looking forward to being able to get over to the former Soviet Union and Warsaw Pact and pick up a whole bunch of old Soviet stuff that you can fix, which you can't do with M1s after a certain point.
So I say zombies aren't using IEDs anyway. So now if the zombies are using IEDs, you got problems.
So one of the issues, though, you're going to have to fuel these things. You are going to have to fuel these things, though. So what you really want is a good flex fuel engine, because your description you had earlier of the tank doing donuts is, just imagine you put all that biofuel all over the surface.
Fermented zombies.
So if you gather, just
the engines will run on practically anything that will burn.
Exactly. Yes. That's my point.
Okay.
It's zombie hall.
Another one. All right, for the panel here. In your personal zombie preparations for the inevitable end of the world, what one item, except for firearms, because that's no brainer, what one item do each of you think you need in your zombie survival package?
Mike Williamson.
Mike Williamson is not an object.
That's not what
I have no objection to being objectified.
Okay, let's hear it, panel. Scott, outside of firearm, no brainer. So other than firearm, what do you need in your zombie survival package? Oh, Kelly already said cure, so that's out.
Vaccine.
I tried to say it quietly.
Now I can't have a cure.
Now the cure is in Chattanooga. You got to fight your way to Chattanooga. Kelly Lockhart has the cure.
I said it was quietly.
I hate to go all practical, so let's try to do something better than that. Because something like a water filter or something like that, is pretty practical. But
A small Middle Eastern country.
Quit thinking faster than the panel. It's not
That's wrong.
no, I've always been a fan of the blunt object for zombies, because as nice as a chainsaw, things like that, something you can move fast and knock them away with, and just that's the way to go. It's not primary, like you said, firearm, much smarter, but as a backup, something with reach, and preferably not something that's going to get stuck inside a zombie. Like an axe or something. So,
So you guys have seen the Tetsubo my kids got me for Christmas?
Yeah.
I could kill livestock with this thing.
What is the story?
Don't ask me how.
My kids got me a samurai war club.
Dare we ask how you know that?
Hey, well, we were gonna eat the steer anyway. So for science, you should appreciate it.
Of course.
Okay, so John,
One item.
One
The
item.
most important thing you could possibly have in a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, what do you want in your personal zombie kit?
A roll of duct tape.
And Mythbusters have shown us all the ways that
I almost went for a Leatherman's tool, but if you have a roll of duct tape,
You can make one.
if you have a roll of duct tape, you could kick legs out from under the guy with the Leatherman's tool, duct tape him up, and you have a Leatherman's tool.
And maybe.
See, we were talking about Top Gear episodes of Zombie Vehicle. We need to do Mythbusters Duct Tape Part 3, Surviving the Zombie Apocalypse. Also filmed at LibertyCon. I think we have a season of TV shows you can get out of this place. Doc.
It's leaning more red green.
Discovery Channel now.
Well, we all assume that we're going to be on vehicles, but let's be really realistic. Eventually, you are going to run out of fuel, and you're going to run out of available road and all that other stuff. So I guess having had to carry an awful lot of weight over the years, courtesy of the U.S. Army, comfortable load-bearing equipment.
I'm glad you didn't say mule, because it's...
Female mule can solve other problems.
I say the mule blundered into the mine thing.
I'm not very practical about this. I want an unlimited supply of sodium. Because when it rains, I win.
Not as good as chlorine trifluoride, but much easier to handle.
Wouldn't that be assault?
String him up. And in the zombie apocalypse, he's the first to die.
I know I can outrun.
We have our patient zero.
Come on, guys, he had flair there.
Defined item. Am I allowed to have a mountain stronghold in Switzerland?
So, what, Mike?
Yeah. Am I allowed to have a mountain stronghold in Switzerland?
I'll take a ticket to Switzerland.
I already have a mountain stronghold like under Switzerland, so I think it's fantastic.
You don't have chocolate.
If it's not
that's true. I have cheese.
Actual physical item, an axe, a small axe. You can do anything you can do with a knife, with an axe if you know what you're doing. You can cut shelter, you can cut barricades, you can cut your supports to get yourself up a tree. An axe is an incredibly useful thing. Not quite as useful as a towel, but...
and you can do circumcision in emergency. Shalom.
Yeah, some other writer already took towel as his answer, so it was already taken. Yeah.
Well, I gave my answer earlier, but you got to at least have a boomstick.
That's a fine.
But he excluded that.
I excluded boomsticks.
How else am I going to get Bruce Campbell on my side?
Probably a hot chick.
Hot chick.
And a hook. And a hook.
Yeah.
What would your answer be, Larry?
Actually, I believe this was suggested to me. The correct answer is LibertyCon. Okay.
I like John's boat. That's a real thing.
Boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would do me a hell of a lot of good. 6,000 feet above sea level, I could sit in my driveway in my boat. Watch the zombies come.
Maybe if you pray hard enough, it'll rain.
What's Larry been building in his yard?
Is he building an ark? Is there something we need to know?
Yeah, I'm gonna feel really dumb. I get ready for apocalypse by building an ark in my yard and the zombies show up. I get one thing right, one thing!
The problem is you asked one thing instead of 2 by 2.
We have one question. If you start building a boat in your yard, I'm going to have to ask you, what's a cubit?
And a span.
How about a team?
Finger to the other.
It's a free form boat.
Now, did we take this in a bad taste direction if I said
submarine?
What if I said a condom?
Well, it depends on how. And here's the thing: I hope this isn't. If you're saying condom, I hope this isn't like a Richard Matheson Last Man on Earth kind of thing, because then it gets weird with the zombies. And there are movies like that on the internet. Okay, right here we have a question.
How you know?
Scott, is that the singular?
I have a friend that made one of those movies. Had him in a column like this. So, okay.
A Twinkie attached to the end of a fishing pole. Tallahassee Sick'em.
Now, being an actual gun fanatic and whatnot, I am not impressed by the survival skills of the people in that movie. So
Yeah.
And then, okay, they find it. Okay, they find a wrecked Hummer, which costs what, like $80,000, $90,000, and they find HKMP7s in the back seat.
Just doesn't make sense.
Which how are you gonna find those in there? rednecks. What kind of rednecks do you have in your neighborhood?
Yes. Welcome to Chattanooga.
What kind of rednecks we got turned left for 500 miles?
If it had been Indiana, it would have been a crate and a half of Moss and Gans.
Yeah. Yes. Now that's a proper redneck zombie killing weapon.
There you go.
And when you run out of ammo, you can beat them to death. And there's also your club. Russian engineer. Okay.
It also works as a spear and as a crutch, as a boat oar. The Moss and Gans is the most fantastically useful gun.
It is fantastic. I have a crate of them. I love it. All right. Now, for the audience, we got about 10 minutes left. So, parting pieces of zombie apocalypse advice.
Long drive to get to your house.
Here's the thing, if you can get to Larry's house, it's a great place to be in the zombie apocalypse. My neighborhood has 14 doctors. I'm not kidding. And my two best friends are EOD techs. And so everybody's like, we're going to Larry's house. And when because most people come to the neighborhood gun that most people are like, we're going to Larry's house. I'm like, no, you're not. My buddies, the EOD guys, we're going to Larry's house. I'm like, You are more than welcome.
Yeah.
I like stop by Home Depot on the way. Feel free. And they're like, yeah. All right, for the panelists, your final piece. We got a couple minutes each. I'll start with speaker here. Your final. I'm gonna put you on the spot. See, so far you've had time to think of clever stuff or putting Scott on the spot.
That. Yeah, and I answered anyway.
That's true. Your final parting piece of zombie apocalypse preparation advice.
Do not piss off combat medics.
We'll give you the plague. Really.
Don't piss off the guys that are going to create the zombies. That's the real one. Yeah.
I am a card-carrying member of Zombie Squad, America's elite zombie suppression task force. We are America's leading defense against the zombie uprising, and in between we try to educate the public as to other disasters such as hurricanes, earthquakes, and tornadoes. The advice is to prepare now. You don't want to be shopping for zombie supplies when the zombie outbreak happens. You build up your supplies ahead of time. And it's a little known fact that we were able to research. A member on Zombie Squad, who unfortunately died a few years ago, devoted his life to collecting machine guns. He would actually post scans of his Form 4s to the ATF on the forum. The purpose of this weapon is one of the categories, and he would write in that box, to kill zombies, and the ATF would approve this. The ATF does understand the threat of the zombie apocalypse.
Maybe they
have also, for the record, approved Cylons.
Yes.
And I can't remember what they were. It was the Boogeyman.
Yeah.
Don't forget thinning the liberal herd. That got approved.
So really?
Yes.
Wow.
Maybe 5 years ago.
Somebody got. I was going to say somebody got fired at the ATF.
So all of you who think that Larry's writing fiction, the government knows that this is a possibility and will accept your justification.
Except sadly, it's the ATF, so we're hosed anyway.
Yeah. What was the grand total on that IDIQ ammo contract they just cut?
2.6 billion.
Yeah.
But it was over 5 years, so that's not that much.
Yeah. It was also primarily options on purchase.
Yeah. And as a guy who just got out of military contracting, specifically in the finance end of things, when you run the numbers on it, it wasn't as big as the internet makes it out to be.
Yeah.
In fact,
I could shoot 1,000 rounds in the morning.
I was going to say, by proportionate things, if that was for like an army of Mike Williamsons, they would be disappointed in one afternoon. Okay. Jason.
Well, I'm fat. I live in a big city, and I don't exactly have a good escape route because I live in an apartment complex.
We'll pray for you.
Yeah, thank you. Basically, Melanie, my fiance's dad, is actually the best one to do this. He pretty much has his own gun shop practically in his basement, armored, concrete, only one way in other than really steep wooden stairs that could be taken apart in an event of emergency. And basically, he's got that clear field of fire, everything. He's fine, I'm dead, so he'll kill me, he'll be proud, she'll be sad. Life goes on.
Humanely and quick.
Yes.
Yes.
That's nice of him. Father-in-laws are good that way.
Yeah.
Doc. We got like 5 minutes left for all of this.
I would just say have a skill. Have something to be able to trade, because if you're unskilled, you're useless.
Philosophy is not a skill.
I recently did a thing about finding a redoubt and how to get together with some friends and buy a place and blah, 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 blah. And having looked at it, I had a list of all the people that I would want involved, and I came to the conclusion that my best job was to be the sacrificial rear guard. Because I don't. Simple as that. So, in the event of an apocalypse, I'm going to be the sacrificial rear guard.
That's not what you said last year. That's not what you said last year when you pulled out the 22 and shot me in the knee.
That's because he's now done the whole thing of writing the piece about the next to the last guy killed.
But John's going to have to be the rear guard because of that knee injury.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
Next to the last guy.
Okay, Scott.
Okay, stole mine with a have a skill. That was a good one. But specifically on the skill, because me, I am also not thin, not thick, not particularly proficient with firearms. I'm pretty worthless. So what I am, I'm good with children. And most people that you're looking for in a survival situation are not. So you want to have the guy who, because you want the children. Everybody wants to protect the children, and you need somebody with, or something that is not, you know, it's like, oh yeah, we want the big strong guy. We want the guy who can shoot. We want the guy who's got 4,000 guns.
Wait, Scott. So your plan is to show up at Yard
I'm
Moose
going to be
Mountain.
the nanny, yes.
You're going to show up at Yard Moose Mountain compound and say, "I'm going to entertain the kids." I'll be like.
Do you do balloon animals?
As long as I can.
Wait, yes, that'll be the thing. That'll be the thing. You'll be come up and we'll be all like, make a balloon animal. Actually, it'll be like you and Doc Osborne, and they'll be like, oh shit. And Doc Osborne's like, and it's like I made an elephant. And we're like, shit, you're in. Open the gates.
That needs to go to book. Nice. Prove you're bona fide, so you're good with kids.
Yeah, we probably ought to just do that as like a short story.
Wait, the balloon animal?
I'm feeling this one.
Who we're going to let in?
But this is the apocalypse. The balloon animal needs to be made from blown up condoms.
That's right. He said condom earlier. Right. See, the other guy's not going to have balloons.
I was
he's
thinking.
like,
That's
it's like
dangerous.
what is it? It's like, I made a circle. Brilliant! Boom!
Where the snake around?
My piece of advice is wear comfy shoes. Okay, so that's it. Thanks, panelists, for another exciting episode of Fighting the Undead and Smashing Zombies. Thanks, everybody.